Welcome to let's see, this is week 4 on our series called What's Holding You Back? And this for me personally is to kind of look in personally and say, okay, am I doing what I want to do with my business? And if not, what is holding me back? And so for me, walking through these, I think we have 10, maybe it's 9 areas. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Um, well, let's see, that's not the one. That's one we're going to talk about, but we're going to hit the 7 areas. And so this is week 4. We've kind of done a few that we've combined. So we talked about the need to expand our network. And if you remember, we talked about web working, connecting people. And when we connect people, we meet more people and strengthen those relationships. We talked about needing to get to work and doing the 5 by 5 each week, 5 days a week times 5 prospect connections. And doing that, and I have to be honest, I make a lot of connections, more than 5, but not prospect connections. And I'm telling you, when you're making 5 new prospect connections a day, that is a lot. I've yet to hit that one solid week. I'm going to do it at one point. But what I'm realizing is the closer we come to those numbers, the more we're going to see our businesses explode. And some of you on here are truly doing that, and y'all's businesses are exploding. Last week, we talked about need to know what to say, and we processed and heard from several of you guys last week of what you're saying and what's working. And so that was huge. If you missed last week, go back and listen. That was some great stuff. Today, we're going to talk about needing more confidence. And sometimes the lack of confidence holds us all back. And so hopefully you came today with at least one name, if not more than one, but at least one name of somebody that you're dragging your feet with reaching out to. And they've been on your chicken list. I've got them too, you guys. I've been doing this 24 years now, at least. And I have those as well. And I think it's that fear for me of, are they going to look at me and say, okay, the only reason why you're reaching out is to tell me about Juice Plus? Well, is there anything wrong with that? And that's what I have to ask myself. Why am I, for some people, why am I holding back? And so we're going to jump in today. And if you guys know about our teamextremedropmark.com, that's where we're under the training section, and that's where I'm dropping all this. We've got the prior week's recordings as well as there's all of our verbiage. Today, we're going to hone in, and thanks to Brenda, she and I on Friday really kind of unpacked and zoomed in on what does it take to overcome that lack of confidence. And immediately, both of us said it's action. That period. When we take action, we overcome that fear. It's probably more of a fear, which is a lack, we'll say a lack of confidence, but it's fear of something. But when we put the fear aside and say, I'm just going to take action, I'm not going to worry about what's holding me back, I'm just going to move forward with action. And I loved, if you guys were on that call with Stacy Whitmere when she was talking about making a decision, she was going to make 10 connections, business connections on a daily basis. She said that she was rusty doing it. And at first, they didn't go all that well, but because she had set herself a goal, she did it anyway. So I think part of this is we all shy away from setting goals, let alone really pushing ourselves to hit it. But when we do, oh my goodness, things happen. And she said in the beginning, those conversations she was having weren't that great, but she pushed through them anyway and continued because she had set herself a goal. And I love that we're not always going to have these phenomenal conversations that turn into what we want them to turn into. but it's conquering our fear because we took a step. That's what's going to make the difference. And over time, and she said, as many as she was doing, those conversations got better. And so when we hold back for fear of what to say, what someone's going to think, we're not getting better, but when we push through, we're going to get better. So I love remembering stuff through, I don't know if this is a acrostic or a acronym. Which is it, Brenda? You're on mute.
It's an acrostic.
Okay. All right. This helps me remember. I don't remember that great anymore. So this helps me remember. So let's unpack this. So and thanks to Brenda, she and I kind of worked this together and processed it and back and forth. What A stands for, acknowledge your fear, not being afraid of. So let's think about it right now. What, for me, I think right now I'm thinking of one person is specifically, she's a medical doctor. I don't go to her. My friend knows her and she made a connection via text with the two of us. Cause I asked her, I said to my friend, I said, hey, would you make a connection? And she did. And I chickened out on literally going back to her thinking, okay, she knows my friend. Is she going to say back to my friend, what's she doing? You know, she's just trying to sell me something. Yeah, I am. I'm beyond that. I'm trying to get her on board. And so she's my person on my chicken list to reach out and say, I know you don't know me. You know, my friend, she introduced us, and literally start the conversation. So that is my we've talked about BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal this week is to reach out to her, put the fear behind me. See, 24 years in, I'm still fearful too. So there you go. But really see if I can't get some traction with this doctor. She's a functional medicine doctor. Juice Plus makes sense. One of my new customers goes to her. And I feel like I've got several ends with her, and I need to conquer the fear, acknowledge that I am fearful. Even this many years in, I'm still fearful of stuff. And so I've acknowledged my fear. So that's the A. So take a minute right now and think about your chicken list. Pick someone on your chicken list. What's your fear? Is it the same as mine? Just kind of, what's she going to think of me? She doesn't really know me. She knows my friend. Am I kind of weaseling in through my friend? Those are my thoughts. Anybody else have some thoughts like that going on in your head with your number one chicken list person that you want to share?
I just don't want it to in any way taint the relationship.
Mm.
And but then which is, I could easily make an excuse out of that. But then I think, which I've said many times, what if no one had told me?
Yeah.
And had been worried about that relationship, and I was sick. So we don't know what other people are dealing with. So at least that's what I've been telling myself as I'm trying to put on my big girl pants.
Mm. I'm putting my big girl pants on too. Who else? Okay, so don't want to ruin the relationship, which is kind of back to my point. It's not so much the relationship with this doctor. I don't know her. It's my friend. What's my friend gonna think about it? Anybody else? Another fear besides a little bit worried about the relationship? Any other fears come to mind? I guess Brenda and I are the only two fearful ones, huh?
Okay, I have to say, we've been listening to this guy who's doing a lot. He was kind of a coaching chat, and what he said, which is kind of what precipitated all this, is that we're all dealing with fear in every relationship. So, I mean, what are they going to think? What do they think if I don't know anything? I mean, fear is. They said what it was like. It was in the high 90s that's what, if you boil things down to, it's fear. Mm. So come on.
So we acknowledge our fear. So whatever your fear is, write it down somewhere so you can see it. The next thing is, and I keep going back to Stacy's talk because it was excellent. She committed to the action. What are you willing to commit to? she committed to 10 business connections a day for a month. That was huge, but she got 6 partners out of it. So what are you willing to commit to? So I want you to first write down what your fear is. And then second, what are you willing to commit to on a daily basis? And I'm really gonna, this week, Scott left to go out of town. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna protect my Juice Plus working time. And I'm really gonna commit to those 5 prospect connections a day. So what's your commitment level? What do you want to commit to or willing to commit to? Write it down. And then the T, take the first step. What is the first step you need to take? So let me kind of back up here. No, the first thing I want you to write on your paper is the name. I'm gonna write this myself. Who is it? And then the second thing, I want you to identify your fear. All right, write that down. And then the third thing is, what are you going to commit to in terms of activity? And my goal is to really hit the 5 days this week, 5 prospect connections a day. That's my commit to action this week. What's yours? So that's number 3. And then number 4, write this down. What's your first step you need to take? And mine is simply to reach out to this gal. And believe it or not, I actually asked Brenda I typed out what I wanted to say to her, and I actually asked Brenda to review it for me, make sure it sounded good. So the wordsmith helped me. So all I have to do is hit the button and send it. I'm going to add a little bit into my message, this customer of mine who she's only on Complete because this doctor's has her on a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm going to kind of challenge her with, in my opinion, Juice Plus is the foundation of everything. So I am going to tweak it a bit. So what's your first step? Anyone thinking of someone specific on your chicken list? What's your first step? Anybody else want to share what your first step is?
I'll go. I've got a family member that is really into health, gym all the time, and she does sourdough, and she's an entrepreneur. So I'm going to reach out to her and just tell her we have too much in common to not talk.
Love it. You're very good with your words too. I love to hear what you say. So that's good. Anybody else? What's your first step?
I've taken a couple of first steps. My dilemma is what to do from there.
Okay, that's a good point, Dale. So you're not afraid to take the first step. Where your fear comes in is, okay, I've taken the first step. I don't know what the second step is. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it's the follow-up. I came up with what I thought was a convincing follow-up, trying to get them to say something. I think part of my problem is I've been giving too much information up front.
Okay.
But I want to introduce them to not only the product, but how good the research is, the fact that you can get it free for your kids, and that we have a great promotion going on if they want to join the team. And I don't know if that's probably too much information, but I don't have them stop before they find out the rest either. So I guess
So
I've got to.
Sorry, I interrupted you there, Dale. So it sounds like you've got to learn how to pique their interest first. So I'm going to make a note of that. And when we kind of unpack at the end, we'll talk about that. How's that sound?
Okay.
Because if we haven't piqued their interest a bit, which is a good reminder that you just, brought up, Dale. If we don't kind of pique their interest first, that we're not going to get very far with them. We may only get to take that first step. So you're in a kind of a different boat in that you're taking that first step versus you need help with the second step, or maybe rethinking the first step. How can we pique people's interest without, giving them too much? I can only see like 5 of you, but I know Trina was on here. Trina, I'm gonna circle back with you because Brenda told me something you did and I loved it. And I thought that was a great first step. So we're gonna circle back around at the end, and I want you to share a first step that you had with people. So think about what your first step is, and is it gonna pique their interest?
Hey, you want me to talk now?
Yeah, go ahead. Share what if it had to do with the Easter basket. Share that, because I thought, oh my gosh, how could anyone not talk about piquing someone's interest? Go ahead, share.
Well, I have a very good neighbor next to me. And of course, they've seen Juice Plus on the back of my car. They live, I'll try to talk fast. They live in Sarasota, but they live here during the summer. And so we were all down there at Marco Island, and Alan had my car with some of my neighbors in it going from Marco Island to Naples. Well, my neighbor over here, Roger, and his girlfriend was coming to meet us in Marco Island. And he calls me and he said, I'm going past a car that looks like your car, but it has a Juice Plus logo on it. I said, well, that's Alan and Mo and Ted. He goes, well, where are you? I said, I'm back at the condo. He said, how weird is that to be in Naples with all those cars, and there's your car that I go past with Juice Plus. So they know that I do Juice Plus. He's watched me, everything. But recently he asked me, tell me what you think about balance in nature. And I said, Roger, I have been wanting to tell you that for all my life. And so he had the balls, we made energy balls. He loves those. He's had shakes, he's had gummies, but never once would he bite. And so he's got cancer now. And so they've been flying back and forth to have treatment. And every morning last week, I woke up, I've got to get him on this. I've sent him videos, everything in the past. So I went and got an Easter basket. They both have colds, so they're over there. We were supposed to go eat with them. And and this is pricey, and I don't ever do this, but I gave him a bottle of the fruits, the trio. And then I put in 2 shakes, vanilla shakes. I put in lemons. And then I went to Chick-fil-A and bought 2 big things of chicken noodle soup and some hot tea and coconut water. And I took it over to him and I said, here, take this. And I said, 2, 2, and 2 for now. And he said, okay, 2, 2, and 2. So Alan said, well, they're not going to take it. And then yesterday morning, I woke up and he said, okay, I've taken 12 of these capsules and I'm still sick. What am I supposed to do? So that's pretty pricey, but I just love them. And he's sick and he's going through all this treatment. And, it's just time they listen. I guess when you go back to asking what my fear is, Elaine, I guess I don't have any fear this go around.
That's good.
And watching everybody get sick and get cancer and all kinds of heart trouble, I just don't have fear anymore. If they don't want to hear it, fine. I'm not going to beg anybody to be healthy anymore. But I just tell them, when they ask me, what have you been doing? I just said, I've been doing a lot of Juice Plus. Everybody's so sick and our food is horrible. So I said, I just educate. And that's another thing. I don't try to sell anything. I won't sell anything. I want to educate them first, because if you don't educate them, then they're not going to buy and keep it and take it. My neighbor down here took it 4 years ago and she quit taking it. I went in, there was boxes of it. And she's been begging me the last month, well, maybe I need to get back on it. I said, I'm not putting you on it. You won't take it. So finally I went down there and she said, okay, I want to take it. I said, you know what? I'm going to have a bottle check. I'm going to randomly come down here and I'm going to check your bottles. And she said, like a drug test. I said, exactly. But she had a bottle from 4 years ago in the cabinet of vegetables. I said, look. So anyway, we'll see, but I don't beg anybody to take it. If they want to listen to me, fine. If they don't, fine. But we'll see what happens to Roger over here.
Mm. That's great. There were so many good nuggets in that information, Trina. I mean, you can hear her passion and you think about taking that first step. I think that first step is caring about people. People know when you care about them, and then releasing the outcome. I think that's what I picked up just listening to Trina, is taking the steps, whatever it is. And I think for different people, I think about Karen sharing about the connection that she made with the family member and just saying, we need to connect. We're on the same path. It's really tailoring our conversations with people, kind of identifying what it is, where the connection is, and how can I connect with them so that they're not feeling like they're being sold, but educating and caring, I think is the key. I love that. Let's move on. I identify the who, what, when. Who are you going to talk to? What are you going to say? And when are you going to do it? So think about the people who are on your chicken list. Let's go after those people on our chicken list. There's a reason they're coming to mind. Who are they? So number 5, who are the people you're going to reach out to? And I'm going to share, let's see, can I get over here? I literally have been working on, here's my hot hands list. Got to change the date, but I just am adding and adding and adding to these people as I think. And I'm just like, there's really no reason for us not to have people to connect with. I mean, when you really take the time, and this morning, I think I added like 5 more names to it. When you take the time to really think about this, you're going to find that it's easy. It truly is easy to build that list of people and get out, like just get out. Karen shared a family member. Trina shared a neighbor. We all have family members. We all have neighbors. We all go to the store. You guys, there's literally no excuse for us not to connect with people unless we just don't want to. Okay. So make sure sometime today you got a list of people you're ready to share with this week. All right. Own the outcome, good or bad. Back to Stacy's story, she owned it. In the beginning, it wasn't too good. And I bet, Trina was out of the business for a while. She's back in, and I love it. She went back to not worrying about, oh my goodness, I'm rusty. What do I say? Man, she jumped in and listened to her verbiage. I think about Karen. Karen, I'm sorry, you guys are getting picked on because I'm looking at you two today. Karen is always making connections nonstop, checking it off. She has a system and she follows it. So let's own the outcome, good or bad. What we do when we own the outcome, whether it's good or bad, what we do is we're building that muscle of being able to say, okay, so it wasn't that great. I'm going to keep on going. And it becomes to the point that we get good at what we do. I remember when I first started doing these Zoom trainings, I was like, gosh, they made me nervous. And now I don't think anything about it. Why? It's because it's that constant muscle, building that muscle. Let's really build that muscle when it comes to fear and not worrying about the outcome, good or bad, because look at the people. Karen, you got something to share about that topic.
Well, yes and no. When Trina was talking, I thought of another person. When she said, I'm not going to beg him to take it. And I thought, well, that reminds me of Mark. So I got on the phone while she was talking, I texted Mark and asked him how he's going because I knew he was looking for a job. And I just said, how are you doing? And we need to talk, and just left it at that, see where it lands. But yeah, it goes back to your just do it. Use that muscle, and as you think it, you just do it. And I get a lot of no's, but I get my occasional yes, and it makes it worthwhile.
And I loved what she just said was we need to talk, not too much. And kind of back to Dale's point, and we'll unpack it here in a minute. But to your point, sometimes it's just that curiosity. He's going to wonder what Karen wants to talk to me about. You know what I mean? It's always better if you can make a statement that causes them to reach out to you. That's the goal. Trina gave a gift. Well, you can't not look, he must have responded to her. You can't not respond when it's kind of thrown out there as a thought, and you've created some curiosity. So how can we, in this first step, create curiosity? I think that's kind of coming to the surface as we're hearing people talk. And then the last thing, and then I'm going to kind of shut up here a minute and let y'all talk more, is let's celebrate the wins. That's what part of us coming together on Mondays is, to celebrate the wins that we're having. Because when I hear Trina talk, or Karen talk, or Brenda talk, or Dale talk, whoever, what does that do for me? That gets me fired up, thinking, well, my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. That helps build our confidence, hearing others talk and the impact that they're having. It makes me want to have an impact. So let's celebrate every chance we get. And especially on these calls on Monday, let's really take kind of the second half, 10, 15 minutes at the end of our trainings, to really celebrate the wins that we've had for this week. So any other, I'm going to stop my sharing here. Any other thoughts or comments anybody wants to share? A win that you had this past week, an idea? We all can create some little Easter baskets, and we don't have to spend that much money, but we can give a few packets of Complete away. I mean, you talk about warming someone up to you. It's hard not to be reaching back out to someone that's given you a gift. You know what I mean? And it shows that you care. Just like Karen, checking in on someone when you know they've got something hard or difficult going on. Any comments anybody want to share? And then I'll stop the recording, and we'll jump into maybe answering some more questions. Any successes or wins anybody wants to share this week? Am I seeing Jelaine? Was that a raised hand?
Oh, yes. So, of course, all of you know that on Saturday we had our sourdough party. And I have a new distributor. She's fairly new, and she really needs to learn. And I try to teach her as she's willing to accept into that. But at the sourdough party, she brought 7 people with her. So
Wow.
I got the opportunity to talk with them and connect with them and give them her website so they can do orders and talk to them about maybe did they want to sign up before the end of the month. She doesn't have a lot of things going on, but everybody got introduced for the first time, and they got to taste the balls. So it was all these people were brand new, including my distributor. So it was new to her to do this, and she brought in a whole bunch of people. So I'm pretty excited. So I'm just hoping for some great outcomes there, because really need a strong line, So I was really thrilled that she brought that many people. And of course, we had some other people. The best thing that we have, sometimes Lucian tells everybody that they need to understand that, I don't know if everybody tells their customers this, but the fish don't create omega. And people are like, what? What? They don't create an omega? What do you mean? So you are actually killing fish to do the same thing that you could do if you just actually use the algae that we have. And so we got some ladies that are probably going to order the omega products because they didn't realize that they were killing fish unnecessarily, because fish don't create omega. They get their omegas from the algae, which is where we get our omegas from, with the buckthorn berry and all the other things. And so he kind of goes over that, and it shocks people. So just a tidbit for you to share, because that really does help people to understand that maybe their omegas aren't that great.
I love it. Again, create some curiosity. Anybody else? Way to go, Jelaine. And as you're talking, I'm thinking next steps. The next step you took was having a sourdough event, and look at that. Look what happened. I love that. Anybody
I
else?
say one more thing about that sourdough event. Okay, I know nothing about sourdough. Okay, so I reached out to somebody who I know is a sourdough person, and I asked her, would you be willing to come and teach it in my kitchen? And she has 4 children of her own. And so as soon as I asked her, she said, yes, I would love to come teach it. So we're connected together. She's willing to teach. She earns a little bit of money because we charge for the sourdough classes. She gets a little side money, and it helps me to bring in people. And when we connected, it brought in her people, my people, and then some of my distributors' people. So if you don't know anything about sourdough, reach out to somebody who does and ask them to do it in your house for you. Just saying.
I love it. There's a next step for all of us.